At the Thanksgiving dinner, my sister stood up and announced, "We voted, and you are no longer family." Everyone applauded. I quietly laughed and said, "Then I guess you won't need this," as I placed a folder on the table. When she opened it, she screamed before carving the turkey. Natalie said, raising from her chair with that self-satisfied, rehearsed tone, "We need to say something." The room fell silent. Forks froze in mid-air. My stomach tightened. I knew that tone. It was the same voice she used to get me punished at 14 for a party I didn't even attend. "We had a family vote," she continued, looking around like a queen at a beauty pageant expecting her crown. "And we decided you are no longer family." Applause erupted. Laura clapped as if at a concert. Uncle Mitch raised a wine glass and made a toast. Even my own mother laughed and said, "Well, someone had to say it." I sat frozen, staring at my plate. The stuffing had gone cold, but my blood was boiling. Dad didn't even look at me. He just took a sip of his beer and muttered, "Maybe it's for the best." "Wow," I said, slowly pushing my chair back. "You guys rehearsed this, didn't you, Natalie?" She smirked even wider. "You've been toxic for years," she said. "We finally stopped pretending. You're not family." Mom reached for the cranberry sauce as if we were discussing the weather. "It was unanimous," she added. I looked around. No one stood up for me. "Fine," I said quietly. "Then I guess I thought this might happen." I pulled a thick folder from my bag and carefully placed it on the table. The thud silenced the laughter. Natalie blinked. "What's this?" I leaned back in my chair and crossed my arms. "Why don't you find out?" She snatched the folder and hurriedly opened it. Her lips were already curling into that smug smirk she always wore when she thought she was winning. Then she turned the first page and she screamed a scream like in a horror movie. Her chair crashed to the floor as she jumped up, dropping the folder as if it had burned her hands. "You monster!" she screamed. "You sick, twisted," gasps echoed around the table. Joel, her husband, grabbed the folder and opened it. His jaw dropped. "Is this real?" he asked. "Every screenshot is real," I said. A deathly silence fell over the room. You could hear a fork clink in the kitchen. My mom's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. "You were so sure I wouldn't fight back," I said, slowly standing up. "So sure I'd stay the quiet doormat, the cash cow. Well, guess what? The milking is over." I leaned in and looked directly into her eyes. "You want to know what was in the folder? I'll get to that, but first, let me tell you how we got here." Because Natalie didn't wake up one morning deciding I wasn't family. This decision had been brewing for years, brick by brick, remark by remark, betrayal by betrayal. I was never their favorite, not even close. Natalie was the star, the golden child with good grades and a wide smile that could charm anyone. She could lie to your face and make you thank her for it. I was the quiet, introverted one. I didn't need fame or glory, and they hated my silence. They mistook it for weakness. At 19, I moved out, paid for college myself, and worked 2 jobs. I never asked for help. Meanwhile, Natalie flunked out of 2 majors. Went to Europe to find herself, returned and married Joel, a man who looked like a LinkedIn profile in a suit. I paid for half of their wedding, even though my parents couldn't really afford it. Yet somehow, right after that, they managed to go on a 2-week cruise. I never complained, not even when they joked that I was the family accountant. I kept helping, paid for Dad's dental surgery, sent money when Mom said they couldn't afford heating, and even covered part of Laura's tuition when she didn't get a scholarship. They always said thank you, but with a tone that implied, of course. "You'll help. You have no life of your own." Maybe that's what sealed it. You see, I'm single. No kids, no wife, no drama, just me, my job, and my dog. And in their eyes, that meant I had nothing better to do than pay for their problems. Natalie, especially, treated me like a backup plan. When Joel lost his job, she called me first. "Just a small loan," she said. "Her car broke down. You make 6 figures, right?" I always helped because I told myself it was It started with small things, snide remarks at dinner. Oh, you're drinking the good wine, huh? Must be nice. You arrived early, didn't you? No kids to worry about. I wish I could work till midnight and avoid my husband. Then it got worse. You're so cold. Maybe that's why you're still single. You don't understand real stress. You don't have a real life. You're just jealous because no one needs you. But they needed me financially, quietly, behind closed doors. Then came the message from Natalie, hey, can you co-sign a loan for our small business? Joel and I want to open a health cafe. I said no. Natalie replied, whoa, seriously? And then there was silence. That was 3 months ago. Since then, Mom stopped calling, Dad sent one-word texts, and I wasn't invited to the last family dinner. The family was cleansing itself of toxic people, but I didn't sit and sulk. Instead, I started collecting receipts, literal receipts. I keep records, bank transfers, letters, screenshots, dates. I'm not stupid, and in the last 5 years alone, I've sent the family over 78,000. 8,000 for Joel's emergency dental work, 10,000 for Dad's back surgery, 6,000 for Mom's credit card debt, 4,500 for Laura's move to college, 3,000 for a family emergency that turned out to be a trip to Cancun. And not once, not a single time, did they offer to pay me back. They just took. And when I stopped giving, they decided the problem was me. So I compiled a folder, bank statements, message screenshots, where Natalie called me a manipulator for refusing the loan. A timeline of all major payments over the last 5 years, and as the cherry on top, copies of social media posts where they mocked me. I have screenshots from a private comment thread where Natalie, not knowing I had access, called me a cash cow with no spin. So that's what she saw when she opened the folder. That's what made her scream, because Natalie wasn't just exposed, she was dismantled fact by fact, line by line, page by page. And the rest of the family realized what they had done. Mom looked like she was about to faint. Joel stared at the line item for $200 charged to Natalie's credit card at a hotel in Santa Monica with some woman named Elise and just said this as. I didn't respond because, for the first time, I didn't have to defend myself. I just showed them the truth. You kept records, Mom finally said, her voice trembling. Of everything. I turned to her, calmer than ever. You never remembered, so someone had to. Natalie still stood there, pale, with clenched fists. Her gaze darted from Joel to me to the folder. This is a violation, she blurted out. You had no right, you just stood up in front of the whole family and declared, I'm not family, I said, slowly rising. You all applauded, and now you're upset that I came prepared. Joel flipped another page in the folder. What's this about Santa Monica? He asked, his voice tense. Natalie spun around to face him. Not now, Joel, who's Alice? He continued. Why did you spend nights in a hotel on my credit card? Silence hung in the air. Mom intervened, raising her hands. Let's all calm down and be reasonable. Sure, I said. Let's be reasonable. Let's talk about how you called me a parasite for cashing a check I sent you. She blinked. That's not fair. We were under stress. No, I cut her off. You were under stress, and I bailed you out every time. And the one time I said no, I suddenly became the enemy. Dad, who had been silent as a grave, finally spoke. You're making this bigger than it is. I turned to him, my voice softer. You let them treat me this way for years. You knew, you saw, you heard, and you let it happen because it was easier than stopping them. He didn't deny it. Natalie slammed her hand on the table. That's not true, she said coldly. No, it is true, I said. I'm not angry, I'm done. She laughed bitterly. You're pathetic. You think bringing a folder and printing out screenshots makes you a victim? You're just proving you're obsessed with control. And you're proving, I said, that you only cared about me as long as I paid your bills. You can't play the martyr now. You chose to help, she retorted. No one forced you. And yet, I said, stepping forward, you somehow expected it. Every time, until it became not help but duty. And when I stopped, you cast me out. My voice trembled, not with sadness, but with anger. You didn't need a brother, you needed a wallet on legs. Joel stood up holding the folder. Is this true? He asked, looking at Natalie. She looked at him, and for the first time, she had no response, no fake tears, no excuses. The room fell silent again. Then Mom leaned forward, trying to smooth things over. Sweetheart, maybe we went too far. But this is still family. Families fight. Let's put this behind us. I cut her off. You're not listening. I'm not asking for peace. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm telling you I'm done. Natalie scoffed. Stop pretending this is some big moment. You've said stuff like this before. I looked her straight in the eyes. Not like this. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out another envelope. What now? Dad asked, clearly exhausted. I tossed the envelope on the table. Joel caught it before it slid off. He opened it, read the first line. And his eyes widened. What is this? He whispered. Documents revoking my power of attorney for Mom, I said. Medical proxy revoked. Emergency contact removed. I've already signed the papers. I no longer bear any legal or emotional responsibility for you. Mom gasped. You're completely cutting ties. Completely, I said, starting to gather my things. From this moment on. I grabbed my coat, took one last look at them, and walked out the door, leaving them in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner. Stunned by the food and the bitter truth. I walked out and didn't look back, not because it didn't hurt, it did, but because as I closed the door behind me and stepped off their porch into the cold night air, I felt something inside me shift. For the first time in years, I could breathe. I didn't drive straight home. I turned towards the lake where Dad used to take me fishing as a kid. I sat there in silence, looking at the calm water, and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, peace. Nothing was pulling me back, no guilt, no pressure, no one waiting for a check, a trip, or a favor. Just peace. The next morning there was silence, and the next day too. But on the third day the messages started. First from Mom, a missed call, then another, then a voicemail. You're seriously doing this, and we're angry, but we're still your family. I didn't respond. Then a message from Natalie. You don't even understand what you've done. Joel is filing for divorce. Happy now. Then Dad, you've gone too far. We all said things we regret. But what you did, that was a nuclear strike. Your mother is in a terrible state. Come fix this. I didn't respond to any of them. Honestly, I thought I would feel guilty, that I would toss and turn at night wondering if I had gone too far. But instead I slept better than I had in years. There were no more doubts with every message, no more expectations, no more late-night requests through payment apps disguised as emergencies. For the first time in 10 years, I could hear my own thoughts. I started waking up early, going for runs, brewing coffee slowly. And making appointments I had put off for years, dentist, doctor, even a therapist. Not because I was broken, but because I could finally take care of myself. I changed my emergency contacts, removed my parents, changed my passwords, froze all joint accounts they had access to, and blocked Natalie on all platforms. It wasn't about revenge anymore, it was about closing a chapter. A week after Thanksgiving, I got a message from Laura, my cousin who had clapped when I was cast out. I didn't know you paid for my education. I'm sorry. I was just following the crowd. You were the one who really helped. I didn't respond, but I read it twice. Then another surprise, a message from Joel. I filed the papers. Everything in that folder checked out. She cheated, lied, manipulated. I didn't see it coming. But it hit me. It touched me. A few days later, I did something I hadn't done in years. I applied for a job in another city. Not because I was running away, but because I was finally free. There was no more "you have to stay close to home." Who will take care of them if you leave? I started reconnecting with friends I hadn't seen in years, people I had drifted away from because I was always too busy with family drama. And the most surprising thing, some of them saw my post online, and they wrote, "We're proud of you." That was brave. There were no requests for money, no blame, no attempts to turn everything upside down. Just support, simple, honest, pure. Someone asked, "Do you regret it?" I thought for a moment and said, "I only regret not doing it sooner." I thought it was the end, and in a way it was. But with people like them, nothing ends cleanly, especially when they start feeling the consequences of your absence. The first few weeks after Thanksgiving were quiet, eerily quiet. No calls, no guilt, just peace. Until Christmas. On December 2020, I got a message from Mom, just a photo of their living room, stockings half hung, a tree set up in the middle, and a huge empty space where presents usually lay. The caption read, "It's not the same without you. Ellie keeps asking why Uncle isn't coming this year." I stared at it for a long time. No apologies, no acknowledgement, just the same manipulative undertone. "Look what you've done. Look who you've hurt." I didn't respond. On December 23rd, Natalie called. I didn't pick up. Then came a message, "I know I messed up, but you don't have to punish everyone. Come for LA. She misses you. By the way, Mom and Dad are behind on the mortgage. I know you don't care, but the bank called today. Thought you might want to know." There it was, the request, always wrapped in a blanket of guilt, always covered in fake softness, but always ending the same way. I blocked her number. On December 24th, another message, this time from Dad, "You've made your point. We get it. But we need help. We're still your blood." That night, I sat alone by the fireplace with a glass of wine, looking around my small, quiet home. Just me and the silence they always said would destroy me. And for the first time in my life, I was grateful for that silence. But it didn't end there. In January, I got a call from an unknown number. I picked up out of habit. "Is this Daniel?" a man's voice asked. "Yes, who's calling?" "My name is Mark. I'm calling on behalf of your father. He mentioned you're the main manager of the family estate." I froze. "I resigned from that role 2 months ago," I said. "It's been formalized through the family lawyer. My name has been removed from everything." The man paused. "I see. Your father said he couldn't contact you directly and asked me to explore options. They're in a tough spot." Of course they are, I thought. They had exhausted all their options, the atom was closed, the safety net was gone. Now they were scrambling. I hung up without another word. The final straw came in February. I received an envelope in the mail, handwritten, "No return address." But I recognized Mom's handwriting. Inside was a 3-page letter. The first page was about regret. We said it in anger. "You were always strong. We didn't realize how much we relied on you." The second page was about guilt. "Your father's health isn't good. Natalie is all alone now. We're worried about Li. She's having a hard time." The third page was the hook. "We're selling the house, but we're in the red. We need a small loan to get through this. Then we won't ask again. Please, Daniel. Do it for your father, for the family." I sat with the letter, allowed myself to feel everything they wanted me to feel, the weight of responsibility, the sting of obligation, the gnawing need to fix what was broken. Then I folded the letter, stood up, and threw it away. They didn't want me in the family, they wanted the version of me that didn't say no, that paid silently, sacrificed silently, suffered silently. But that version of me was gone. I wasn't their scapegoat, their golden goose, their duct tape holding together a crumbling house. I was done, and the scariest thing for them was that I was doing just fine without them. I got a new job, moved to a new city, started helping out on weekends, not because someone needed me, but because I wanted to. I built a life where no one called me at 11 to cover up a mistake they didn't want to admit, where I wasn't punished for being independent, where kindness wasn't used as a lever. I don't regret helping them, but I regret not stopping sooner. You want to know what real peace is? It's not being their family, it's being free. People who call you need an update. Months passed, and I didn't think this post would attract attention. Honestly, I just needed to say it, to put it out there somewhere. But I read every comment. People who wrote, "You're brave. They don't deserve you. And thank you." I didn't know how much I needed to hear this until I did. And those few who asked, what if they change? I asked myself the same question. Months passed, and they didn't change, not after the folder, not after the screams, not after the silence and the letters. I thought maybe someone would understand, would think, would say, "We're sorry." But they didn't. They went silent, then schemed, then despaired, and then showed their ugliness again. But I was free. Since then, I've moved to a new place, got a job that doesn't keep me up at night, started therapy where you stop fixing everyone around you and learn to be with yourself. Now I cook for myself, sleep better, go for walks, and don't jump when the phone rings. Yes, sometimes I think about Ellie, about what she's being taught, about what she'll grow up thinking is normal. But I also know I became an example of someone who finally said enough. A few days ago, I got another handwritten letter from Mom. 3 words: "We're still family." No context, no apologies, no change, just the same old hook. And for the first time, I felt nothing, no anger, no sadness, just nothing. I threw it away and went to make dinner. So I came back here because this place gave me clarity I didn't expect. Strangers saw me better than my own blood did. And this is what I want to ask: did I do the right thing by cutting ties, by saying no, and by finally being done with being the only one holding everything together? Or was I too cold? Or was I just finally tired of being the only one holding everything together? I don't know, but I do know this: for the first time in my life, I'm not just surviving, I'm living. Thank you for reading and for still listening.